What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh, looky here. Nice set of 064 cases. I'm building this for a guy. His one of these pockets was boogered up. So, you know, if you're going to do it right. I also got 064 crank with it. And some guys are talking about these are blued from the factory. There's no blue on there. It's saying a brand new crank, but it's a good used one. So that should give me what I need to make this a nice build. Once I get the bearings and the seals and the case gasket, I can assemble all this. And then the guy wants a pipe on it. He pretty much said, I want this thing to rip. So we'll end up probably machining up a velocity stack on the lathe. And we'll go with the K&N filter with the outer wears on it. I found that to be the best, personally. More airflow than stock. A fellow YouTuber that hates chafe and sawdust, he just did a dyno run on one of his videos not too long ago, and he showed where that velocity stack really picked up quite a bit. You can use other filters, but I found through trial and error that the K&N filter, oiled filter, and then you get I like to use black, the color black, the black outer wears, it kind of stretches over it. That seems like it works the best, and you can get up to 100 tanks of fuel. That's right, 100 tanks of fuel before you got to take it off and clean the damn thing. Okay? So right there, you know, it's paying for itself. With the velocity stack, you're going to get more air through. Then with the pipe, you're going to let more out. I'm pretty sure we're going to use the stock cylinder, but he may want the 066 cylinder on here, which goes on here pretty easy, and that'll take it from 85 cc up to 91.3 or something like that. 91, 92 cc's, a little bit extra. So that's one project I got going on. Now I got all the parts for this. The only thing is on these, I like to put a new carburetor on them. You know, I mean, I have the ultrasound or sonic cleaner or whatever the heck it is, and it does a really good job. But sometimes the carburetor, it gets to the point where it's worn. Not to say that you can't fix it, but you could have a very, very small, you know, microscopic piece of debris in there that you ultrasound it, clean it, ultrasonic clean it, or you put it in, you know, Pine Sol, the original formula Pine Sol. You can get it to go, but they just seem to run better with a brand new carb. Now, look, stuff's not cheap. I mean, I don't know if you priced the carburetors for Stihl, but they've gone up. And when I go to the dealer, I'm going to check the prices on the saws and whatnot. I think maybe we have another situation where we're going to increase all the prices. This is an 044. The other guy wants this. He wants a max flow on it, but he also wants a pipe. And I'm basically just waiting for the carburetor. Once you get the carburetor on there, you know, everything's ready to go. Hook it up. I got about 15-20 minutes worth of work, and then we'll go back in the yard and make a bunch of cuts. Make sure, get at least a tank or two through it. Make sure there's no bugs in it before I send it out to them. But you know, if you're gonna restore something or rebuild something, to me, you know, there's a certain balance point. You know, is it worth it putting the money into the saw, or just save that saw, and if you need a flywheel or whatever you got, you know, a part saw. But these 044s, 064, which is actually like my favorite saw. This is probably one of my second favorite saws. And then the 066, which is a little bit more powerful. These are actually worth it to me. If you can get a part saw, you know, for a reasonable price, it's worth it putting the money into them, because, you know, if you strip them down, crank's good, new bearings, new seals, you put it together right, everything is true and running probably better than factory because you're taking your time, and you start with the base and you build this thing up, you can turn these into very powerful saws. This will run with any modern 70cc. I mean, this right here, with the max flow and the pipe, is going to be right there with a brand new 462C or a 462 carbureted version. It's going to be right there. You know, you're probably going to spend close to about the same amount of money. Which one's going to last longer? I'd say this. And that's something I like about Stihl, where they have the the option now on some of their saws where you can get a manual carburetor. Personally, I think that the M-Tronic is unbeatable, or the Auto-Tune is unbeatable as far as you cutting and not having to mess with screwdrivers. You know, you go from a 12-inch piece of wood to a 28-inch piece of wood, and you're putting more load on the engine. If you wanted it to run perfect, you'd have to adjust just a fuzz. And who can do that? You just set it for a medium, you know, in the middle and run it, right? But the Auto-Tune and the M-Tronic is much more precise. You know, you even see it. I believe the 441C was like 0.1 horsepower more than the earlier version. 5.5 instead of 5.4. But with these older saws, you can make them rip, and they're good. The only thing I will say about them is, you know, I recommend guys to maybe wrap some handlebar tape on here, take up some of the vibration, because they do vibrate more. But this thing with a 20-inch bar or a 24-inch bar, you know, set up my way, built my way, it's going to produce. And it'll be dependable for the guy. That's another one I got to work on. And I got this one here. There's another 064. I'm a little further ahead on this one. I just have to do a few more things, and then we can start reassembling this one This one's going to get a pipe. And this one's going to get a velocity stack too. The guy wants the K&N. So, like I said, you're looking at, you know, I would have to check. I think it was like 109 or 120 bucks for a carburetor. It might be even more. That's just for the carb. You know, new bearings, new seals. There's another 100 bucks. So now you're up to 220. You know, the piston, there's 50 bucks, 270. You know, you're up to $300, $350 in parts. But they're new, and if you do it right, they're worth it. They're going to rip. These 064s, you get with a 20-inch bar on them. You know, put an 8-pin sprocket and have a sharp chain. Forget it, but nothing's going to touch these things. And, you know, these things are, what, 30 years old? So, there's a reason they're good size. You know, they're still running after 30 years. Are we going to see the 500i in 30 years? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. And then, the last one I'm working on here, this is kind of an experimental saw. I got this from a guy, Mr. Helland, out in Montana. We've been talking back and forth on Instagram for a while. And he finally sent me the saw. I've been waiting for about, I don't know, maybe about a year. But thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. And we're going to take care of you, buddy. Okay? This one here, the bottom end seems like it's okay. So we're gonna run with this. This is the one that I milled the case. I bought a new tank. I got a new piston. The cylinder was actually in decent shape. So, but the nice thing about these too is they do offer a complete short block. So if you want to spend the money, sometimes if you dig around, you can get them for 200 bucks, 225 bucks. I know I got a couple 572s up there, a couple 562s, you know. But this is going to be more of a foray into, let's see what I can do with this. You know, it's 60cc saw, 59.8 cc's. Let's see what this thing can do. But what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to put a different carburetor on here. I'm going to put on a... originally, I wanted to put a 572 carburetor on here. But I did some research, and this has been done before. A 575 carburetor, which is off, I believe, a 570, a 575, and a 576. But the 576 had auto tune and a regular carb, I believe. I could be mistaken. But we'll just say the 570, 575 carb for sure. It's got screws on it. And it doesn't look like it'll take a lot of work to do it. I mean, now that I have that milling machine, you know, it'd be nothing for me to mill up something. It's going to take me a little while because, you know, it ain't like a CNC machine. But I can make something out of aluminum. It looks like the intake, which is on its way from the Dukes, the intake and the carburetor, I think the 570 uses 3 screws and this uses 4. No big deal. And I have to look at it, but I may have to drill a little hole into the side for an impulse line. But everything else, you know, from the carburetor to the intake, should fit on there with not a lot of work. So what's that going to do for the saw? Well, you put the pipe on here. I took 8/1000 in a cleanup pass. Well, I didn't do it. My buddy did the work. But on the cylinder, so that's going to drop the cylinder. That's going to knock your compression up, squish, velocity, MSV, make it run a little better. You know, new piston, which always helps. But on the back end here, like I said, I'm probably going to build either my own intake. If one of these don't fit, I believe this one's the 572, and then this one here is off the 562. You know, it's hard to say until you have the parts in your hand, but I have the parts coming. What I may end up doing is just blowing a hole in the cover and coming out at an angle with the K&N filter system.